For many people, Redstone is considered to be the boring and, I guess you could say, slightly nerdy side of Minecraft, but I can promise you, it's really good fun. So today we're going to take a look at 20 ways in which you can have fun building redstone contraptions. Step number 1 kind of goes without saying, but learn the basics. I mean, I know that doesn't sound particularly exciting, but you're not going to have any fun with redstone if you don't know what on earth is going on. Learn how to power certain things, learn how redstone works. For example, the fact that, yeah, repeater, well, the redstone torch isn't powering that block, but the redstone on top of that block is powering that block, so you can run a repeater output from. These sorts of things you will pick up once you get the basics, and it will make your redstone experience so much better if you just know what's happening when you place in certain things. There's nothing worse than just being clueless. Then, following on from my first point, you should experiment like a crazy person. This isn't actually the testing world that you saw at the start of this video. This is my original redstone testing world that I made when I first started experimenting with redstone. And as you can see, I'm just doing experiments, left, right, and center. We've got repeaters all over the place. We've just got wacky things going on with glowstone. I think those are original bud switches. We've got wild-looking redstone contraptions, and just all sorts of weird things going on. It's because I was just trying to get the swing of things and understand how on earth this strange substance actually functions. I mean, I don't even know what this is. Don't be afraid to be daft. Not everything that you construct has to be useful or efficient or actually serve any purpose. Sometimes you can let yourself go a little bit wild and build yourself a pimple popper. Alright, maybe not a pimple popper, that was excessively stupid, but you get the picture. Work on projects with your friends. I mean, not only will you pick up skills from them, but you'll also be working on a project with your mates. I mean, what could be more fun than that? Now, of course, I don't really have too many friends, so I've had to kind of imagine it. This is Barry and this is Keith. We make up the Redstone Dream Team. Although, I'll be totally honest, they actually seem more interested in one another than they are in the Redstone project that we're meant to be working on, so I might have to do some reshuffling. In fact, one of the reasons why I might not have that many friends is because I play a lot of pranks on them. You see, I really enjoy building redstone contraptions to mess with my friends. Either kill them in horrendous ways, or just to do things to mess with their heads a little bit. I'll put links down in the description to videos that showcase these. But yeah, there's nothing more satisfying than building that sort of thing, and there's also nothing more satisfying than watching their face as they realise what you've done to them. It just never gets old. But building the same redstone contraptions over and over again, 3x3 piston doors, 4x4 piston doors, farms, it does get old. So that's why sometimes you just have to mix things up a little bit just to keep things fresh. For example, after years and years of slime blocks and pistons being in the game together and people building slime block contraptions, I finally decided to take the plunge and try my best to learn how they work. And you know what? I've absolutely loved the experience. Now, although it can be frustrating and often things go totally wrong and it's really, really annoying, I've really enjoyed just picking up something completely new, trying something fresh and giving it a go. And I'm actually secretly quite proud of some of the things that I've created, especially this rocket launch zone. I really like the way this place looks. The main goal for many people when working on redstone contraptions is to make them as fast and as compact as possible, but sometimes it's good to just throw those things out the window and work on something for the pure fun of it. For example, I mean, look at this thing. There are gaps the size of England in some of these redstone circuits. Look at this. This could be compacted 10-fold, 15-fold, maybe even 100-fold. Some people are wizards out there. But it was a cool project to work on, and it did end up working. Look, you can see our door closes up, and it also opens up when we hit the button again. It functions, it all makes total sense, and it was just cool. It was a blast making it. But it was frustrating. Sometimes redstone contraptions can be incredibly frustrating to make, especially when things aren't going your way. So a good suggestion for continuing to have fun when working on redstone is to take a break if you feel yourself getting stressed out, because it's only going to get worse from there. You don't want to reach the point where you want to throw your computer through your wall, which, I mean, I've reached that stage a couple of times. And a good idea for keeping stress levels to a minimum when building redstone contraptions in survival mode is to build them in a creative mode testing world first, just to iron out all of the kinks. You don't want to do tons of resource gathering and tons of experimenting in survival mode, because survival mode is a massive pain in the backside to do redstone in. Build it in creative mode first, and then build it in survival. For example, this guy right here. This was built for the Hermitcraft server, but I just wanted to make sure that everything functioned before I actually constructed it. But don't let that clip put you off building redstone contraptions in survival mode, because I'm going to be totally honest, I think building redstone in survival is actually more fun than building it in creative mode. Now, hold tight on me here, because I've got some clarification to do. Obviously, developing new redstone contraptions in survival mode is a terrible idea. Don't do it. It will be a painful experience and you'll hate yourself for deciding to do it. But building a large-scale redstone contraption in survival mode, well, it's incredibly rewarding because you know that you've gathered up every single block, you've had to place in every single block by hand, and you've had to work incredibly hard on the project. So I guess it's kind of swings and roundabouts. On the one hand, survival mode is much more difficult, but on the other hand, it is also a lot more rewarding once it's finished. Take inspiration from others. If you don't have any friends that do redstone, then take inspiration from other YouTubers. Download my Redstone testing world and take a look around because there's plenty of things to see in here. But I would also suggest that you be unique. Don't necessarily copy the redstone contraptions block for block, because unless you analyze what every single block is doing, you're probably not going to learn too much from that. What I would suggest doing instead is take a look at some of the redstone contraptions that you like, work out what they're doing, and then try and recreate them yourself using your own circuitry that you've developed. But when it comes to straight up circuitry, steal everything. I mean, if you see a smart way of doing something, then use it. For example, I remember when slime blocks were first introduced into the game, I had no clue that you could create double piston extenders like this with the staggered pistons and things. And then I saw it inside a redstone video and I was like, oh my word, that is incredibly useful. And then from that point forth, I use it in a whole ton of redstone circuits. So yeah, take inspiration, but still where necessary. Work on actual redstone projects, not just a single redstone contraption, but actually work on something that is the culmination of multiple different redstone contraptions. For example, this is a house that was actually built by Vicky, my girlfriend, that I then came along and transformed with redstone. And as you can see, it has got some fairly interesting things on the inside. So that's my fold-away camera system, pop-up sofa system, and also chair remover system. It's a crazy thing. As I say, just working on all of these different redstone contraptions put together, it means you end up with a really creative environment. It also forces you to rethink certain things because, well, if we take a look underneath, you often don't end up with much space to play with. When new features are introduced into the game by Mojang, instantly start experimenting with them when it comes to redstone. I mean, Update Aquatic, the new snapshots rolled out, there were some new features added in the water mechanics and changes to things, and instantly I started messing around with some redstone and we got some really interesting results. We got some new wave machines, we got some new item elevators, some interesting things going on with TNT. It was hilariously good fun. And when that gets boring, start removing features from Minecraft. For this 4x4 piston door, I wasn't allowed to use any repeaters, and I have to say, I think I did a pretty decent job considering the limitations that we had going here. I mean, obviously, you know, it's quite a big system. It's about 5 blocks wide. It's certainly not the smallest 4x4 piston door out there, but the opening and closing sequence is surprisingly quite neat. That's actually not bad looking. And when even that gets boring, just add tons more features using mods. Now this is something that I've recently dipped my toes into and it's a tiny bit controversial, but there's a few mods that I've been using that introduce vanilla-ish features into Minecraft. For example, the ability to move chests with pistons, or the ability to increase the piston push limit, or the fact that you now have half redstone blocks, which is a new redstone component. All of these things, they're like tiny tweaks that have been made to redstone, but they enable all sorts of different things, and they've been very fun to experiment with. Get redstone suggestions from other people. As you guys know, I do the I Build Your Silly Redstone Ideas videos, where I take ideas that are sent to me via Twitter and build them in Minecraft. And without them, well, I wouldn't get redstone contraptions like this, which is supposed to be Grian petting his cat. And you know what, I'd say I did a pretty decent job with this one. It's definitely less silly than some of the other ones featured in those videos. Don't go too big. Now there's nothing worse, especially if you're playing in survival mode, than starting up an enormous redstone project when you don't really have the time to finish up said redstone project. I did this quite a bit when I was back at school. I would come up with a ridiculous idea for the redstone contraption when I had an exam in the next couple of weeks, and I'd just never end up finishing it. Or I guess the truthful answer is that I wouldn't really study as much for my exam. Don't do that, that's really stupid. I'm being serious here. But having said that, to keep yourself getting bored, you should occasionally really challenge yourself. Like, take on a redstone project that you think you might not actually be able to build. For example, recently I took on the challenge of building a 1-to-1 pixel painter display. So each one of these buttons corresponds to 1 pixel on this display right here. That is incredibly difficult to build in Minecraft. I mean, 1 pixel displays, they're really challenging in of themselves. And I have to say, when I first started it, I didn't think it was going to work, but in the end, I managed to pull it off and I learnt a ton from it. And the final tip for having fun with redstone in Minecraft is to not do redstone in the bedrock edition. Of course, I'm only joking. I'm so amazed by the fact that people can even build redstone contraptions in the bedrock edition of Minecraft, because it literally makes no sense to me. Absolutely no sense to me. So all power to you, to be quite frankly honest with you. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please sure to that like button. And if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later.